think it was a mistake that they drafted Michael Penix Jr.?
No. And I want to start off this show. First of all, I want to thank both of my brothers, Swagu and RC, doing an outstanding job touching on the NFL draft for all the work that y'all been doing from yesterday to this morning. Proud of y'all, as always, along with the rest of the team. Let me be very, very clear. I'm disgusted with this conversation already. We're going to start off the first take this morning with me being disgusted. Because I'm sitting there going like this. Oh, Kirk Cousins. Oh, Kirk Cousins. Oh, my God, Kirk Cousins he didn't get a call right up until, they were on the clock. You got $100 million. Shut the hell up. His agent talking. What are we talking about here? Wait, he got a $180 million contract with $100 million guaranteed, okay? Fresh off an ACL injury. He ain't been in the lineup since he tore his ACL. Am I right, RC? Am I right, Swagu? Has he been in the lineup since tearing the ACL? So the Achilles, rather. So what I'm trying to say is this. We ain't seen you. We assume you gonna be all right. We heard you gonna be all right, but we don't know. Here's what we do know. You are absolutely exceptional and the quintessential role model when it comes to getting your bag for minimal production. That's what we know about Kirk Cousins. During the regular season, the brother puts up numbers. Obviously, he can play. He's no scrub. But when we look at the top five currently, when we talk about the top five quarterbacks in terms of their money, their bag in their career, Kirk Cousins is right up there at around $294 million and got one playoff victory in his career. One! That's it. That's less than Dak Prescott got. And we are sitting here, I'm watching last night and this morning, everybody acting like we are a heartbeat away from calling Dr. Phil or Dear Abby about how he wasn't consulted before they made a pick. Stop it. This is ridiculous, okay? Now Penix Jr., he's had his slew of injuries. RC, I saw you on this morning on Get It. You point out he had about 4 injuries now. 2 ACL injuries, a couple of shoulder injuries. I understand he's not a short. But what do we say? We talk about his hands. We talk about his accuracy. We talk about his pocket presence. We talk about his ability to sense pressure. We talk about the fact that this brother can fling the football. And we did see him get Washington to the national championship game, okay, against Michigan. We saw those things. And so I'm looking at it from the standpoint, of course, you invest this money. You certainly want to have somebody that you needed an edge rusher. You need a linebacker. You need a host of things if you're the Atlanta Falcons. But in the end, fellas, what I'm saying is this. You need a quarterback. And the quarterback that you had that you invested $100 million into is fresh off of ACL surgery. And so I'm looking at it, I'm going like this. I understand it's risky, but if this brother can play the quarterback position and you're talking about the future, and I already got Bijan Robinson, and I already got Pitts, I already got these brothers. I'm looking at this like, what am I talking about here? Drake London as well? What are we talking about? You got some weapons. Let's make sure we ain't got to worry about the quarterback. I know it's risky, but it don't bother me. What bothers me is this love affair with a dude by the name of Kirk Cousins that got one playoff victory in his career. Floor is y'all.
I don't know if it's necessarily the love affair with Kirk Cousins. I believe it was the fact that Kirk Cousins is newly acquired on the 4-year deal with the $100 million that you mentioned. And shoot, me and Swag were at Sullivan's last night with the entire NFL Live crew. Chan and Fred were there too, and everybody was shocked. Like everybody's face, like you just couldn't believe it. You expected to see Laiatu Latu come off of the board, or even you could see a guy come off of the board that gives you something defensively that you didn't have. Dallas Turner, SEC Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And I was one of those people that was kind of in an uproar, and I thought to myself, let me just call Raheem. And anybody that's ever talked to Raheem knows that Raheem could sell water to a well. And it took about a minute and a half, and I was like, you know what? You're right. What if Kirk Cousins had been in Atlanta for 12 or 13 years and was nearing the age of 40, and you had an opportunity to pick in the top 10, and you saw a quarterback that you thought could be your future? You saw a quarterback that, when you look at all the other quarterbacks coming out of this draft, is the most talented passer, the most accurate passer. And you say to yourself, we don't need him to start in 2 years, or we don't need him to start this year, but in the future, he's our franchise guy. And he also said this. You made a great point, Stephen A. Kirk Cousins doesn't win in the playoffs, but Kirk Cousins has really good regular seasons. We believe this Atlanta team is talented. You tell me when you're going to have Kirk Cousins and pick in the top 10. You're not. If Kirk Cousins is the starting quarterback of your team for 17 weeks, you're going to be a team that's going to pick 15 to the back half of the draft, of the first round. And guess what? You don't normally find franchise quarterbacks in those picks. You know who is not tripping about drafting a quarterback in the first round when they had a future Hall of Famer at quarterback? Matt LaFleur. Because the Green Bay Packers sure feel good with Jordan Love. And so whereas I would have loved for them to get a positional player that makes the team better this year, I do understand if you're Raheem Morris and you're thinking to yourself, this is not a plan for this year, this is the plan for my tenure as the Atlanta Falcons quarterback, it makes sense. Did I love it when it happened? Absolutely not. Can I understand why going forward in the future, this is something that you could wrap your arms around and say, we made a great decision? I do.
Yeah, to your point, RC, shocked is the right word, as opposed to thinking it was stupid after you give it some thought. It was stupid from this standpoint, I will say. We've never seen a quarterback get $100 million guaranteed and then a quarterback get drafted top 10. So that was different for everybody. Nobody has ever seen that before.
Yeah.
We ain't ever seen it happen in the draft. So that part of it could have given all of us the impression that it was really a stupid move to make. But it wasn't. Stupid might not be the right word attached to it. It's just something we've never seen before. And to Stephen A's point about Kirk Cousins, listen, ain't nobody gonna cry a river for Kirk Cousins. We all know he rich. Stephen A., but this could affect a culture if they don't handle it well. Like Dan talked about Kirk asked for Michael Penix's number. He called him and congratulated him. And y'all know me, all that's great until Kirk Cousins have 3 bad games. And you're going to have a fan base saying we took quarterback number 8 in the draft. And we had all of these things going into the season where it was Kirk Cousins focused. Like, I know Atlanta fans were like, we got Kirk Cousins. We got a chance to win. Look at our division. We arguably got the best quarterback in the division. We got a lot of things going in our direction. This is the one thing that could potentially infiltrate, and it's all about how they handle it. Now, to RC's point with Raheem, one of the best orators ever. The dude can talk and say some of the greatest stuff to make you believe in anything. Him and Mike Tomlin treat. But he is going to have to make sure he keeps a close eye on how this situation is managed if Kirk Cousins doesn't perform well. And it could be a problem. But ultimately, on a night's sleep, it don't look as bad because you drafted your succession plan.
You drafted your succession plan, fellas. And let's talk about who we're talking about. We're talking about the Atlanta Falcons. You realize 5 of the last 6 years they've won 7 games? They had a 4-12 season in between. I believe that year was 2020. Outside of that, since they lost in the divisional playoffs the year after they go to the Super Bowl in 2017, they've won 7 games in 5 of the last 6 years. 7-9 until it went to 17 games, and 7-10 over the last 3 years. Now you got Robinson. You've got Drake London. You've got Kyle Pitts. You go out and you get Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins don't really have excuse as it pertains to personnel because you got some folks that you could do some things with there. If you don't produce, okay, well then Penix Jr. is there to raise some hell and to make things a bit uncomfortable for you. But my point to everybody is, and I'm talking about the folks that would sit there, oh my God, how could this happen? I mean, because you got to remember, y'all, Penix was the news initially. And then after that, I have to sit up there and lose about 19 minutes of my life that I can't get back, listening to this drivel all over the airwaves on radio and television with people talking about, well, Kirk Cousins' agent says, you know what, he didn't know. And oh my God, he didn't know. And they didn't call him until they were on the clock. Yeah, they gave you $100 million. And you fresh off Achilles surgery. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? $100 million. He's made $294 million minimum in his career. He got 1 playoff victory. 1 playoff victory. As far as I'm concerned,
But
and by the way, last point,
Stephen A.
Russell Wilson Russell Wilson drafted 3rd round, and I understand not 1st round, 3rd round, but they had invested in Matt Flynn. And then Russell Wilson came up in there, and they said, the hell with the investment. This is the quarterback in Seattle. And look what
That's
it did
a different
for them.
investment, Stephen
I
A.
know that.